Hello, welcome to another one of our videos, and this is a very simple exercise, requires very little skill, can be quite effective for a forward head posture, so you don't really need any equipment other than maybe a towel. So what I'm showing you here is basically me just standing up against the wall. I'm using a pole here, and I've got like a small towel against my head so I can take the pressure off my head on the pole. And basically I probably could have used a smaller towel, but just to give you an example of what to do. But all I really have to do here is very simple. Just walk away from the pole. So I'm just resting all of my body. If I go back to the start, so I'm lined up against the pole, and then all I do is I walk forward. So I end up leaving my head only against the back of the pole. And what this does is it basically tries to stretch the back of my neck here and strengthen the front of the neck here. Alright, ideally, like I'd have a smaller towel and my ear would dissect my shoulder and my hip there. Alright, you see the towel's probably a bit too big, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Alright, and then to the last, probably most important thing is make sure your tongue is kept on the roof of the mouth. That'll strengthen those neck flexors underneath your chin there, which usually can become very weak from a forward head posture. All right. For this to work, the resistance is time, because you're not adding any dumbbells or barbells. You're just using time as the resistance. All right. So I usually would try to hold that for about a minute. Rest for a minute, maybe do one of the other exercises I'm about to show you, and then go back and do another minute. I'll try and do like 3 reps, so I get 3 minutes of tension time. So pretty simple exercise, basically all it's called the wall lean. Yeah, and it can be quite an effective one that you can do almost anywhere to try and help position that head and strengthen the front of the neck, so it can hold your head in that natural position for a lot longer. All right, so let's look at a couple of other ones. Okay, so this is the second video. I have shared this one before, but it's just a slight variation of the last one we're looking at, a little bit more aggressive. So all I do is I use a Swiss ball, and I just push my head again into the wall, into the ball. So but the starting point is where my head's sort of in that horrible extension position, so it's tilted back, where it's creating a lot of tension for people around here. And the front of the neck's overly stretched and weakened. So basically, like with my head here, all I'm trying to do is push my head into the ball, and at the back of my neck I should feel it lengthen. All right, and then at this bit here I should feel it shorten. All right, so if you watch carefully, you'll see that happen. Once again, I need to make sure I keep the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and you'll see how my head just slightly tilts forward, and then I'm in a much better, stronger position there. You can see how that's lengthened out there, and there's strengthening underneath there. And now my eyes are in a horizontal position as opposed to before. They were tilted up. All right, and this one I'd probably hold for about 10 seconds, and then I would release it, and then just let your head tilt back for a second, just while you get a breath, and then go back into that position again and hold it for 10 seconds. Really important, probably can't see it here, but make sure that you don't try to arch your back or have your hips thrusting forward to make it look good, because that's one thing that I see a bit with this one. But yeah, as long as you're aware of that, you really can't make too many mistakes with this, and it can be a great way to strengthen that front of the neck so that you can take the tension off the back of the neck there. All right, so let's look at the third thing, which sort of ties it all together. Okay, so the last one here is nothing fancy, and I've shared this like so many times I've lost count, and basically you're just learning to do a deadlift, but trying to like do your deadlift where you keep your head in a neutral position. A lot of people, when they get in the deadlift position, because they're thinking so much about trying to keep the extension in their back, they don't realise that they're actually using their head, their eyesight, to try and do that. That's what they're thinking of this as the main, which is good to think of that, but they end up tilting their head up and jamming their neck, so the head would be like that, which is horrible, as you can see. But if you try to feel like what you've just done on that last exercise with the Swiss ball, and if I had a stick on my back right now, it would line up. All right, so a bit like the one where we were standing against the wall. And basically all I'm doing here is I'm definitely strengthening the neck, but I'm strengthening it with the rest of the body and integrating it with the hips and the pelvis and the back extensors, the glutes, the hamstrings. They're all working together as a team to maintain that alignment. And it's quite an underrated exercise as a neck strengthening one, because it's known predominantly for what it does around the legs, which it definitely does do that. But as you can see here, and also the thoracic extension, it's another part. We see people losing it here, and their head's just diving forward because they've just got no awareness of trying to maintain that extension in their thoracic rib cage. So, a great exercise that you could use to integrate it all together, and I would probably do it in the order that we've seen it, like the wall lean, the Swiss ball one, and then the deadlift last to tie it all in. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed those 3 exercises. Check the description underneath to see if there's check out all the links for all the other exercises that you may need to include, because there's obviously a lot more to it than this, but this will give you a great sort of step forward into making some positive changes. All right, I hope you enjoy that, and we'll see you on our next one.